Hey, Aloha Tribe. This is Jeff Reinebold, and we are 88 times doing this with you. This is our 88th edition, a special Monday edition, because we had Championship Sunday yesterday, and it did not disappoint. And I would like to bring in, as our first guest on this special edition, a guy that says he's just now coming down. And I said, well, we're going to pump you back up again. This is Chris Mclaughlin from LA Rams, UK. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Good to see you.
Hey, man, tell me how it feels to know that your Rams are going back to the Super Bowl.
Oh, it was unbelievable to have our Super Bowl in our house. It's just watching the game last night. I went through the emotions that I went through the week before. I didn't think I could do that again. But to have the game that it was and ending the way it did, that's just our season all over, really.
All right, now we're going to get into the game in a little bit and try and get your kind of recollection. But where did you watch it at? Did you guys all get together? Because I understand there's been watch parties. There's been all kinds of stuff.
So LA Rams UK, we're pretty spread across the UK, really. So it's sometimes difficult for us to actually get together. The last time we were all together was actually at the last London game. But I watched it at home. As your good friend Neil will say, celebrating in silence as the wife and children were asleep upstairs. But I was actually watching it live on Skype with my brother. So at least we had someone to celebrate it with at the time.
That's awesome, man. Now, Owen Thomas says, mahalo, everyone. What a game of two halves from Mahomes. Who day, all right? So Who Day Nation's growing by one. Owen Thomas. Before we get into the Super Bowl, I want to get a feeling. You're talking about the emotions of the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Early on, the Rams ran the ball pretty well. Stafford was, I thought, really sharp early in the game.
Yeah.
And then they got a tough patch, hit a tough patch, and the Niners, played better defense. And I thought the Niners, or the Rams, defensive line dominated the line of scrimmage. I mean, totally took the run away. If it wasn't for Debo, a few runs with Debo, I think Mitchell might have had one run that was a chunk run, but that was it. Do you think all the talk about the Rams being tough enough got under the skin of Aaron Donald and, Gaines and that crew?
I think it definitely did. And you think you've seen from the footage from that where Aaron Donald pulled everyone together before theoretically that last, maybe second to last drive and showed the actual leader that he is. And I'm quite glad that it was actually made such a big deal of, because he's a bit of a quiet beast sometimes. But it actually shows how much of a leader he is on that line and what he's doing to the guys to show them, look, this isn't enough. It was a fantastic win. And I think it showed that in the interviews at the end of the game, getting the trophy. McVay didn't want to touch that trophy. I don't know if you noticed that. They tried to pass him that trophy, and he's like, that's not the one I want. And that's the attitude this team has got this year, is there's still one more. And it's always been this game. And it exactly as you say there, I was talking to a few people before the game, and my whole thing was dominate the line. We've got to turn up on both lines. Keep the ball theoretically in Jimmy G's hands. That was my go-to, because you even said it on footage yourself. He's not the most accurate a thrower, and you've got to bank on that not happening. And we've seen it a couple of times when the line was able to get through. When you looked at the figures during the game and you looked at the stats, it didn't feel like the way the stats actually say. It felt like that we were behind. It felt like we were struggling. But when you look at the numbers, if nobody watched the game and looked at the numbers, it looked like we dominated completely, but it just didn't feel like that during the game. But I think it showed now that we are a team that can change during a game. And it's something that's been spoke about quite a lot with Sean McVay and his coaching, that it's plan A and we're not quite sure what plan B is. Last night, there seemed to be a switch at some point in the game where there was a coaching decision, and it did flip it on its head, because it felt at one point in the game it was slipping through the fingers and we were trying to throw it away. And like previous week before, we tried to do that as well.
Well, I'm a big McVay fan, and I'm a fan of a lot of the players on the Rams. I'm a big Andrew Whitworth fan. I love Eric Weddle, obviously Floyd and Miller, and I mean, there's a lot of great
Keep
stories.
going.
There's a lot of great stories on a lot of great players, but when Stafford threw that one pass in the second half down the middle, and it looked like a punt, and Jaquiski Tart, how in the world he didn't pick that ball off is
I've watched the highlights again this morning. I don't know how he didn't catch that ball, and that'll haunt the guy. It will haunt him for a good. Well, you never know. Some of these players, they never come back from something like that, but you hope it doesn't, because you don't want to see that from any player. Well, he is for the Niners, but we won't hold it against him. But I don't know how he didn't catch it, but from looking at the play again, I don't know if it was a wrong route from Van Jefferson. Was it a wrong throw? It definitely seemed like it was the wrong throw. It was just completely in the wrong direction. And there's been a few of them through the season where it's been a bit of a desperation throw. But we are exactly 12 months to the day since Matthew Stafford walked through the door. And this is the reason why he walked through the door. So
all right.
I've got to take those throws, unfortunately.
So you got your heart in your throat when you see that ball fluttering down, and then Tart drops it, and the sense of relief must have been awesome.
Oh,
now let's go to the other end of the spectrum. Jimmy G's running around for his life. He gets out of the pocket. He's running to his right. He tries to throw the ball kind of half across his body, and he never sees Ramsey sitting out in the flat.
Yeah.
And Ramsey breaks on the ball, perfect break on the ball, and clanks it off of his shoulder pad. And that would have ended the game effectively.
Completely. And again, we've had a few of those from Jalen in the last few weeks where he wants to get that pick as much as possible. And is he trying too hard for it? I don't know. And he maybe just needs that extra millisecond away from the ball, and it lands straight in his number. It was probably the same feeling that I had, that maybe a Niners fan was probably having at exactly the same time. Because, it would have killed the game there and then. And who knows what would have obviously gone from there. And obviously then to end it in the way that we did again with Jimmy G running around the field. And that just showed obviously that when you've got Mr. Donald chasing you, that's unfortunately what happened to him. And he had to try and shovel it or kind of not go down.
That was ugly. Let's just say, call it what it was. That was ugly. So now, last bit of emotion I want you to speak to. Stafford comes out after the interception. They get in the huddle. I see him coaching everybody up, doing a great job with his huddle. And you come out in victory formation, what we call victory formation. Mm-hmm. And now all you got to do is take a knee, and you're going to the Super Bowl.
Oh, at that point, I think it was. At the first knee, it was trying to work out how many timeouts they still had left, how long was left on the clock, and trying to work out how many seconds we had to kill. And I think after the first knee, I kind of worked out no, that's it. Troy Aikman, I think I said that he's killed the game, and I'm like, no, he actually has. Now I can celebrate it properly. So it was a little bit of a surreal moment at the time, and my phone blew up then, and obviously everybody's then going crazy and stuff, and it's just. For the Super Bowl that we went through a few years ago, it has been the main focus to get back from that. And I think you may have mentioned it yourself, that I think that grates on McVay because of how that Super Bowl went against the Patriots. And to now get back to where we want to be, to a team that we've got a good record against recently, in our home, it's just going to be unbelievable. And the atmosphere now for the next 2 weeks is going to be. You get that lull now to the Pro Bowl, and then obviously it's going to go crazy in LA. And that's what the whole reason why the stadium is where it is. The whole reason why we came back to LA was to bring the Super Bowl to LA.
All right. Now, Stan Kroenke said, as he stood on the stage, whose house? Our house, right? Is it really your house now? Because there was an awful lot of red in there, man.
There was, and there is always going to be. The Niners travel well, as we know, and there are some teams that travel better than others in the NFL. And LA is a tough nut to crack, but the only way you can crack it is to show them that they've got a successful team. And as rightly or wrongly, the LA faithful will jump on whichever bandwagon they want to jump on. So if we show them that we're a successful team and can bring that kind of atmosphere to the city, then why not? And the amount of people I speak to over in LA, the atmosphere is building all the time.
This is a really interesting point that you bring up, Chris, that LA is about stars. It's about bigger than life. It's about, swagger. It's about tinsel. It's Tinsel Town, they call it. That's another nickname. So now you've got Jalen Ramsey, and you've got OBJ, and you've got Cooper Kupp, and you've got Aaron Donald, and you've got Von Miller, and you've got Floyd, and you have got a star-studded lineup.
Exactly. And that's what we've wanted to build. And a lot of occasions this season, it's been a all or nothing. Everyone's in for the Super Bowl. And yes, it definitely has been. And like you say, the roster that we now hold is credit to the coaching staff, credit to Les Snead. The guy's a complete genius. How he works the cap, I don't know how he does it. I don't think anybody really will ever understand it. But we've basically built a franchise, and that's what we had to rebuild when we moved back to LA, is rebuild a franchise. And if you'd have said to me 12 months ago that we'd have had OBJ, Matthew Stafford, Von Miller, and Eric Weddle taking us to the Super Bowl, I'm not quite sure I'd have believed you.
Well, hey, it's LA, man. You can write your own script in LA. Hey, tell me about now, on a personal note, Chris, how did you get to be a Rams fan?
My stepfather's from St. Louis.
Okay.
So growing up as a teenager, I followed American sports as much as we could. And the specific way of obviously moving to that was obviously to look at the St. Louis Rams at the time. Followed the Cardinals and the baseball a bit as well, obviously for the footage that we used to get over here in the UK. And I just sort of took it from there. And moved with it, really. And I've started the reason why I got involved, obviously, with the LA Rams UK. We were all doing our own sort of thing on the socials, and it was actually after the Cardinals game a few years ago that we all decided to sort of come together, bring it together, and go full tilt. And it's been fantastic. And the London games that we had helped, obviously, with having the fans over here and the collaboration that we could do. But I think I've made the right choice. I have some family members who are obviously following other teams, and my one brother-in-law is a Patriots fan, one of the brother-in-law is a Saints fan. So there's some definite family banter that goes on, but I definitely think I've picked the right one. So it's probably following the Rams properly for 12 to 15 years now, something like that. So I think, as I say, it seemed like the easiest way to go through it at the time.
Well, all right. Now, we have viewers and listeners on this show from Australia, Hawaii, the mainland United States, Canada, all through Europe, UK, Ireland, everywhere. If they want to get involved with what you guys are doing with your fan club, and whether they're here maybe on holiday or they're here working or whatever, how do Ram fans unite going forward? And are you going to have a watch party for the Super Bowl? Have you guys talked about some of that stuff?
There's been a lot of WhatsApp messages today, shall we say. It's gone pretty crazy across the socials today. So we're across all social medias. If you search Los Angeles Rams UK, you'll find us on all the social media from Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We obviously do also have a podcast as well that we put out every week. So you'll find us on where you get your podcasts from. We are potentially discussing about moving into a similar setup to this for next season, of actually bringing it to a new platform on the YouTube potentially. We'll maybe have to make people look a little bit nicer on screen than maybe we do when we're recording our podcast. But yeah, so we're just trying to do what we can. That we want to make it aware that we're not here to try and take over the world, but that'd be very nice. The franchise are aware of us. They've published a couple of our stories that we've put on our website, which is great, and that's all that we can ask for. But we want to do exactly as other Rams fans want to do, is build the fan base. And we know it's difficult. We know there's a lot out there. We did a little bit of an analysis actually while the game was running last night of where we sit in the UK fan bases on Twitter. And we sort of sit mid-table at the moment. So probably sitting about 15th across the whole of the NFL based on Twitter sizes of the official UK accounts on Twitter. So we want to move up that ladder. We want to see what we can do and what else can we do, but obviously speak to people like yourself and get our name out there, really.
Well, I tell you what, if you are a Rams fan, you got to get with these guys at LA Rams UK, Los Angeles Rams UK. You can search them on Twitter. Again, I think you'll find out that there's a lot of really, really good football fans, a good group of people that enjoy the Los Angeles Rams, enjoy the NFL. And Chris, I really appreciate you taking time to come on the show tonight. If there's anything we can do from Coffee with Coach to help you guys, don't ever hesitate to ask, because we're all about, like you said, we're all about growing the game and growing the fan base here in the UK. Thanks again. I hope next 2 weeks from now, if we have another Coffee with the Coach, that you will come on as a Super Bowl champion.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to.
Well, again, that's an open invitation. We're going to get the Who Day Nation in here on Thursday, and we'll have a little point counterpoint. Maybe the week of the Super Bowl, we can get the both of you guys on. We'll get LA Rams UK and the Who Day UK clients together and see if we can't have a little debate. Let's call it
Why not?
debate.
Why not? Let's do that. I think a nice friendly debate doesn't harm anybody.
I'm with you, man. Hey, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show. Mike, are you out there?
I'm here. Can I just congratulate the Rams for a start, Jeff? What a performance last night.
Absolutely.
And also, Jeff, to Chris for coming on at such short notice, and just obviously enjoy the next few weeks, Chris. It's you'll love it. Hopefully, maybe see you in LA. Yeah,
there's been conversations had. Unfortunately, I think the wife will definitely put the main foot on that one anyway. But if I could get out there, I would.
Hey, listen, keep the wife happy, buddy. That's more
definitely.
You can always.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Team. Hey, thanks again. Take care, Mike. I mean,
all
Chris.
The best, man.
Take care.
Fair play to Chris for coming on, Jeff.
That was awesome of him to come on at short notice and did a great job of representing the Rams. And we are going to have Who Day UK back here this week. Then you know what? I think we should have a little debate next week, kind of a point counterpoint. We'll get a UK Cincinnati fan.
You done that last year, didn't you? You done it with the Bucks and the Chiefs. I remember you had Brit Chief on, I think, or you had Arhez brought it, and you had Bucks UK on. So definitely, I think like next Thursday or something, we should do that either live or I think as well. And we're putting this on the open air here now. Wade Phillips, you got to get Wade Phillips on.
I should get Wade because he'd be a great one to talk about. We got any questions, Mike, before we go in?
There's loads of stuff here now. I haven't went on Twitter yet to check, Jeff, but in terms of this chat, I can't put some of these things on the screen, but I will refer to what's being said. Fred Flunk has said, Mahalo, has anyone seen any Niners today? And I'm going to leave it at that. He said, ha, 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 etc. Owen Thomas is laughing. And there's loads of stuff here. So for example, David Crook is asked, who's in the UK, is asking about Jim Harbaugh, obviously looking at the Minnesota Vikings, or seem to be seriously interested in signing him. Maybe we can get a time to talk about that at the end. Loads of different things here. We've got at Corrupted House, who is in England, saying he thinks the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl. Dr. Grippo, who's in Hertfordshire, thinks the Bengals are going to win the Super Bowl. Andrew Yourself from England saying he thought the coverage last night, you said it there, was excellent. And yeah, man, a lot of people watching, Jeff. A lot of people watching. It's the busiest time of the year.
I tell you what, it was great. And Neil obviously, as a quarterback, he handled it flawlessly. Obviously, great to have Jay Bell and Baldy and Sean and all the guests we brought on from the mainland. So I thought it was really good coverage, and I know that the Super Bowl week will have every day on Sky Sports NFL. We'll have an Inside the Huddle, and we are going to have another of our podcasts next week. Looking forward to the Super Bowl. So it's going to be a busy week coming up. Keep the Twitter questions and takes coming, because whether it's tonight, and normally it's tomorrow, because I'm actually at this point of the week, I'm really tired, but I'll get to those and answer every one of them individually, personally. Give me a couple more, Mike, before we call it an evening.
Yes, sir. First off, we've got a great guest coming on in a couple of minutes. Sam Quack is going to come on. Obviously, Sam, big Chiefs fan, so we'll hear our thoughts after last night. Let's have a look here now. Ray, who is in London, is asking, does Mahomes panic in the pocket too quickly? And that's why he ends up running around so much. Something which ultimately cost him the chance of a touchdown at the end of regulation yesterday, led to a couple of sacks. Jeff, 3 points in the second half. I mean, did you see that coming?
I tell you, and I'm gonna on the overtime show this week, I'm gonna show the adjustments, some of the adjustments that Lou Anarumo made, and he went outside the popular train of thought. Everybody's talking about you got to play double high shell defense with Mahomes and not give up the big play, but they went to a lot of single high. Now they disguised it, but they made it really tough on Pat. They didn't give him clean looks, and then I thought one of the other things they did a real good job with. 12 times in the second half, Michael, they only rushed 3 guys. Now, they used a 4th guy as kind of like a late rusher, wherever. But see what he found out. And this was, I thought, really good coaching. When we watched against the Bills, and we watched in the first half of that game last night, when he would scramble, he either's going to step up in the B gap and then get out to his side, to his right or his left, or he's going to come out over the top and go to his right or his left. Well, when he goes to the laterally, you lose half of your rushers, right? Because the backside guys will never get there now. So what Anarumo did was he rushed 3, let him break the pocket, and then let that 4th guy come from inside. So it was like, here goes Patrick, and then another, and now you've got a guy coming right at his face as opposed to coming from inside out, because he just stretches you to the sideline, and then with his arm, he can throw all the way back across the field going to one side or the other, which very few quarterbacks can do.
Absolutely, but then look at Joe Burrow yesterday as well. Like, I mean,
he out Mahomes in the second half. He got out of some trouble, and I had not seen him do that, right? And that was he converted 2 big 3rd downs in the second half to keep drives alive. And again, another part of a championship season, and a guy steps his game up.
It's going to be a great week next week. And as you said there, yes, Sky's got Inside the Huddle every day from Tuesday. If I heard the TV right last night, you're going to be a busy man. I'm going to be busy, but we'll make it work. It's going to be good fun. And obviously, Jeff, let's see if any other questions here before we go to Sam very quickly here. Okay, so check here. So Connor, who's in Liverpool, is asking, what do you think will come up in the Super Bowl better, the Rams offense or the Bengals offense?
Well, I think that the Rams offense should, because they're playing against a defense that, is better than people think it is, but it's not an elite defense. Let's be honest. Now, the Rams pass rush against that Cincinnati offensive line is the matchup that I think is going to tell the tale of the game.
Absolutely, Jeff. Do you want to bring on our next guest, and we'll maybe close the live coverage tonight? We're back on Thursday night. I mean, we're both wrecked. Like, we're exhausted here, Jeff. I mean, you had to work last night. Come on.
Yeah, let's bring on Sam. This is a really, really special guest for us, and great that she would come on the show. Not only just come on the show, but come on the show when she is very, very sick and 8 months pregnant. So it's a bad combination.
Perfect explanation there. Fantastic chat with Sam. Obviously, Sam is on, you might see her question sport, NFL UK games. She does a sideline. Fantastic NFL fan, big Chiefs fan. So Jeff done very well. I'm not going to lie, Jeff, you done very well to get Sam on here after last night. But I will talk to you live on Thursday, I think, around that time. And everyone enjoy Sam. Cheers, Jeff. Mahalo.
Hey, aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 88th edition of Coffee with the Coach. It's a special Monday post-championship edition, and we have a very, very special guest. We've had some really big-time guests on this show. We've had Vice President of the Seahawks has been on here. We've had numerous NFL players, Super Bowl winners, but we have never, ever had an Olympic gold medalist, and we have one here, and not only a gold medalist in the Olympic Games, but a big-time NFL fan. Sam Quek, welcome to the show.
Hello, thanks for having me. And nice of you to compare me with like such great esteemed guests you've had on. But pleased that I'm your first Olympic gold medalist.
You might end up being our only one, because there aren't a lot of those guys walking around the earth. So I want to go into that real fast before we start talking football, because I have been fascinated with the Olympic Games since I was a little kid and saw Lee Evans and John Carlos stand on the podium in Mexico City with black gloves on, and watch Valerie Bortsoff win the 100 meters, and Alexiev win the multiple gold medals in weightlifting. Dick Fosbury with the Fosbury. I mean, just on and on and on and on. What is it like to compete in the Olympic Games?
You know what? It's so surreal. I mean, like you say, to compete in Olympic Games, go to an Olympic Games is one thing, and to come away with a gold medal was just so surreal. So like even now, it's I still have to pinch myself. But for me, it was all about being an Olympian. I missed out on Beijing 2008 because I was 17 going into the squad. So technically, I still missed out on an opportunity. Home Olympics in 2012 missed out. So had someone turn around and said, listen, Sam, in 2016, yeah, you might miss out on 2 Olympics, but you know what? On your third, you'll get a gold medal. I would have just not stressed as much, been as upset as much. But it is just, it's one of the best experiences. And because you have the protection of the Olympic Village and there's no press, and it's just everybody in there is equal regardless of size, weight, ethnicity, background. Everyone in there is an Olympian. And it's just crazy when you see the likes of, Nadal, the basketballers in there, Tsonga, Usain Bolt. And I'll tell you this one quick story, Jeff. I think it was the second or third day we were going to breakfast, and there was all these high-rise flats, and one particular one looked over the dining hall, which is this massive space where everyone goes to eat. Anyway, we heard this music in this building opposite, and we're like, what is that? We turned the corner. Usain Bolt's there with a speaker on his shoulder, dancing away, and he was on the 3rd floor up on his balcony, basically putting on a show. In his, I don't know what Americans call them, but over here we call them budgie smugglers. So I didn't. What do you guys call them? You know, like Superman knickers.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Just literally with the Jamaican flag on them, just giving his thing.
Goodness.
And for me, that was what the Olympic Village is about. It's just like everyone just being themselves, and it's just a great experience. And then, yeah, to top it off, being stood on the podium singing your anthem, it's, yeah, like you say, what kids dream of.
I can't imagine, after being 40 years in professional football and all the great athletes I've been around and great teams and training camp and all that stuff, when you get high-level competitors, elite-level athletes together, that's an unbelievable stew of ego and pride, and I mean, just a lot of energy. And I can't imagine what it's like when you get thousands of Olympians together in one village.
It's there's a certain buzz. I think everybody's there to do business, but then there's some athletes who are there to do the business. So you have the likes of, for example, us as a GB hockey team. We went there because we knew we could win a medal. Not just for some athletes, it may be qualification. That's their job done. They're going to be an Olympian. But the buzz and the energy around is, something which I don't think you could experience anywhere else. But in particular, being part of a team when everything clicks. I mean, you'll probably know, being head coach of many a team, that when you have that special moment, things just fall into place. And for us as a team, we'd been in a dark place. We'd, not qualified for certain tournaments. We'd come 13 out of 14 in the World Cup. To go into win an Olympic gold medal, when things click and things work, it just happens. Do you know what I mean? You'll probably know. I mean,
I know exactly.
Teams all the time just click.
It's just watching the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm thinking the same thing.
Oh, there's the first jab to the heart.
I got one more. I've always wondered this, right? And I've seen, like I said, as I've been a fan of the Olympic Games and the competition, and it seems crazy to me that you go through the opening ceremony and then some of the athletes will leave the village when their competition is over and won't go through the closing ceremonies with their team. Did you stay after you won your gold medal? Did you stay until the end and go out the stadium as one, British team?
Yeah, sure. So it was almost the opposite for us as a hockey team. So as a sport, you can decide whether you go to an opening or closing ceremony. For hockey, we compete throughout the whole tournament. So I think our final game, we had one night, and then the following night was the closing ceremony. So that was our real party night, which, I can't divulge too much into, but there was lots of singing and lots of champagne and beers to be had. But for the opening ceremony, we decided not to go as a team because you're stood on feet for like hours and hours. So we dressed up in the gear, watched it on telly, and were literally in bed. But it sounds fun, right? But yeah, got the job done. It was the right decision in the end. But it's one of them where every sport's different. So, for example, in the Olympic Village, Team GB had a 17-floor high-rise flat, and as a hockey group, we were on floor 6 or 7. And basically, they'd organise the floors by sport. So swimming was at the top because that's one of the first to finish, followed by the other sports that finish after week 1. And then towards the bottom end, it's the athletes and athletics because they tend to finish late. And you can tell, Jeff, when people start to finish their events because the noises get louder and louder. Whether it's, you've got your window open, you can hear beer bottles clinking around, you can hear singing, you can hear shouting. And as you can imagine, there's some other stories that go around with post-Olympic celebrations. So, it's an interesting atmosphere. But I think the majority of Team GB actually stayed. I know it was different for Tokyo with COVID and the stuff this year, but I don't understand why you wouldn't want to stay. It's the only time you can let your hair down.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, now you got to come back on again sometime because I have so many things I want to talk to you about that whole experience. But you are a high-level athlete, and now tell me about how, because you texted me the story today, and I want you to go through it with our listeners and viewers about how you actually became an NFL fan.
Yeah, I have my husband to thank for that. And again, apologies to anyone listening where I sound a bit hoarse. It's not from my cheering last night. I've actually come down with a bit of lurgy. So instead of having coffee with you, I've got a Lemsip next to me. So I used to train down in Bisham Abbey, which is the National Performance Centre, where from my house and my boyfriend's house at the time, now husband, was about a 3.5-hour drive away. So I had club training on a Thursday night, but Friday off. So I thought if I drive home after training, I'll get the whole of Friday with Tom. Save driving up north on Friday morning, you hit traffic, it's a waste of time. So by the time I got back up to the Wirral where we live, it would normally be about 12:30, 1 a.m. And obviously that coincides nicely with Thursday night football. And I remember I used to get home exhausted. I needed a shower, but fear not, Tom, ever the gentleman. We had a bath waiting for me, lovely bubble bath, a few candles, dinner on the table. Don't get me wrong, it was lovely, Jeff, but that hasn't happened in the past 5 years since. So if that happened on a Thursday night in recent times, I knew he's been up to something, or he wants something off me. But no, he was brilliant. And what a way. It worked. It got me into Thursday night football. So we used to sit and watch that game. And then when the London games came around, I think it was in 2015, he took me to my first NFL game in London. So that's how I originally got into it.
Okay, now the Chiefs are near and dear to your heart, and we're going to use that picture that you sent me where you have your Olympic gold medal in your hand and a Chiefs jersey on, which I thought was brilliant. Now, explain to the listeners and viewers about this cosmic connection that you have with the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, Tom, my now husband, is a Ravens fan. And he said, "Oh, you can support Ravens with me." And I remember watching them, being like, I don't want to support the Ravens. I don't feel a connection. And I was like, okay, I'll take my time. I might choose it on kit where they are. So I thought about the New York Giants. My jersey number was 13 for GB, and Odell Beckham at the time was the Giants. He was number 13. And my favorite color is red, and their away kit was red and white. So I thought, okay, this could work. If we want to go to an away game, it's only over the pond, right side of America. So I started following the Giants, but it just there was just nothing there making me connect. And anyway, I went to my very first NFL game at Wembley, and it was the Kansas City Chiefs against the Detroit Lions. And we managed to get tickets, but they were late returns, whereby any family and friends from the teams that weren't using them would return them. So we found ourselves, my boyfriend at the time, now husband Tom, sat in with the friends and family of the Kansas City Chiefs, which was just the best experience. Really passionate, really welcoming, lovely. And I just literally fell in love with them, the fans, but also being a competitive person I am. I like to put the odd dabble on who's going to get the first touchdown score. And I went through the program and I thought, number 13, there it is, DeAnthony Thomas for the Kansas City Chiefs. And Tom thought, Tom said to me, you're throwing away cash here. I said, why? He's like, he's quite young. He doesn't really take too many snaps. And I was like, no, I want number 13. Anyway, Alex Smith, the ball gets snapped to him, throws it long. DeAnthony Thomas, touchdown in the end zone. So as you can imagine, I was pretty buzzing about that result. And just that entire game, I think Alex Smith threw ridiculous, like over 300 yards during that game. And I was just hooked. And I was a massive fan of Travis Kelce. And I just really enjoyed my day out, my first NFL game. And thereafter, I just kept my eye on, I wonder how the Chiefs have done this week. So, yeah, I think it was, I want to say November 2015. That's when my love affair for the Chiefs started.
Another sad outcome with my Detroit Lions, just pasted by those Chiefs.
That's just coincidence, by the way. I'm not making any sort of.
Now you actually have had, and I don't know if I can share this, and if I can't share it, then we'll cut it out before we put this out there. But your house, you have a room in your house that
do, yeah, we do.
It is like an NFL room. I mean,
it's an NFL office. It's got AstroTurf all over.
Tom, you are my hero, man. I'm telling you, you are my hero. I've never met your husband, but I want to meet him because, like, that is big time. That is like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
He's done well, and obviously he checked with me, and I said, yeah, cool, go for it. I mean, we've got 2 replica Super Bowl trophies as well, because obviously him being a Ravens fan, him from 2012, and mine from when we beat San Fran. So we've got them. We've got jerseys on the wall. It's been quite an easy Christmas present because I've got him a signed jersey. He wanted Drew Brees, which I got when the Saints played at Wembley. I did a bit of work for NFL. Tom Brady one I bought, and an Aaron Rodgers one he brought. He's just waiting for a Patrick Mahomes jersey, but I said, I'm not buying that for you. You can buy that for me.
Okay, so now you're not only a big time fan, you have you described as a chance meeting with the commissioner. Now that's pretty hard to do because usually you can't get close enough to the commissioner to have a chance meeting. But you've been to the NFL offices and you parlayed all of that into this like blossoming media career, and you're doing sideline reporting on the London games, correct?
Yeah, to be honest, it's been an absolute whirlwind with all my career. But the whole NFL thing started because in my NFL bio, my Twitter bio, it said I was an NFL fan. So things snowballed from there. So we got invited to, I can't remember what game it was, but it was the one after we'd won the gold medal at the Olympics. Someone from NFL had sent me a message saying, hi, Sam, just wondering if you and your teammates fancied coming to an NFL game and we'll celebrate and you can go on the turf when we have time. So I was like, definitely said yes on behalf of the team. But I think in the end, because everyone was so busy, only 6 of us went. So I was like, right. So they all wanted to go experience their first game. I brought along 6 jerseys for everyone to wear, so we looked part of it when we went down on the pitch. And at half time, we were up in the Royal Suite. Sounds very nice. The prawn sandwich seats, as they call it. And Commissioner Goodell was up there, and I was just like, first of all, I just wanted to say hi because I was just like, Commissioner, like you say, Commissioner Goodell, you didn't let alone see him, especially in the UK, let alone be able to speak to him. And then he happened to see that I had my gold medal in my hand. So he said, oh my goodness, I've not seen an Olympic gold medal yet. You're going to have to come and show my daughters. And he was there with his 2 daughters and his wife. So one thing led to another. We were chatting and he was saying that his daughters had played field hockey previously in high school. And before we knew it, he was saying, Sam, Tom, listen, give your details to my secretary. We'll be in touch. When you come over to New York, be sure to pop into the NFL offices, because we told him that we were going in October to see Ravens against Jets and Ravens against Giants. Again, this was, by the way, that was Tom's birthday present to me for him. So it was a lovely trip to New York, but obviously we got 2 Ravens games back to back, which is brilliant. So he said, and also, have you got tickets for the game? And we said, yeah, don't worry, we've got tickets. And he said, listen, get rid of them tickets. Come and sit in my personal box. So me and Tom were like, is he being serious? Like, we don't know, is it like an empty promise or what? So we didn't think much of it. We thought, oh, maybe he's just being nice. Anyway, we emailed his secretary, and literally within days, it was all organized, tickets printed out. Come and meet us at this particular day at this address at the NFL offices. And the back end of October, which was probably about 2 weeks after the game in London, we found ourselves in the NFL offices in New York, being given a tour by his secretary, and sitting in the office with Roger Goodell having a coffee. Crazy.
Pretty nice.
Honestly, Jeff, like even just the walking in, they have like every single Super Bowl ring at reception. I could have spent half an hour there.
Sam, I've been in those offices, and I'm going to tell you something. It's like everybody speaks in hushed tones in there. I mean, it's like being at church to me. It's like, I mean, it's unbelievable.
Well, we were like kids in a candy shop.
Exactly. Hey, now I've pumped, as we say in America, I pumped your tires about as much as I'm going to. Now I'm going to stick a dagger in you. I'm going to deflate you. What happened to your Chiefs?
I just don't know. I don't know. We looked so comfortable, so in control in the first half, and it was almost like, I don't know. I want to know from your point of view, Coach. I mean, it's easy to say to the team, right, we're behind. This is what we need to do, X, Y, and Z. But surely, as a coach, you say, listen, nothing needs to change.
Well, you know what? It was really interesting, because today I've watched, because I have a game pass, right? So I watched the game twice today. And the momentum change at the end of the half, where they didn't get any points when they had the ball on the 2-yard line.
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah, well, I think I just think they mismanaged the situation. You know, Mahomes kind of I think they thought they had enough time to get 2 plays, and then, but he held the ball on one of the plays, and, they kind of pushed the envelope a little too far. I understand what Andy was trying to do, because when you're playing a team like Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they can score. And, we saw that the last time they played. So you don't want 3s, you want 7s if you can get them. But it didn't work for them. But then they never really seemed to right themselves, which was shocking to me, because Patrick usually has such a, even keel when he's behind or when he's ahead. He's basically the same guy. But Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator from Cincinnati, did some really nice things in the second half to change up the looks on him and give him all kinds of, like, they were never in the same coverage 2 plays in a row. And it was all from different looks and different guys dropping all over the place. Risky, but it paid off. And then they went to 3-man rush, Sam, because this I thought was really brilliant. When you watch the Buffalo game, and Buffalo puts in all their speed rushers, and they still can't get Pat on the ground, because once he slips out, whether he steps up and goes out sideways or whether he comes out over the top, basically half your rush is lost to you, right? But what Cincinnati did was they rushed 3, and then they have one guy just kind of like as a control rusher, so that if Patrick escaped, you always had somebody who could get right up in his face, as opposed to running inside out to him. Mm-hmm. Because if you remember, Travis Kelce and Tyreek both scored on touchdowns in the first half, where Patrick was just running laterally on the field. And he's got such a strong arm, he can throw it back across the field as easy as he can throw it down the field. So that was probably it. And then, again, you got to give Cincinnati some credit. They kept playing. And the thing that Joe Burrow did, Sam, that really surprised me, because I'd never seen it from him, he got himself out of trouble a number of times. They had him sacked twice.
Yeah.
There was he was Mahomes. He out Mahomes. You know what I mean? And
there was a few times with the Kansas City defense, I just thought, have they not sacked Joe Burrow there? I think he slipped through their hands on about 2 or 3 occasions, and I just thought, the momentum shift. And then that's when he started landing bombs on Jamar Chase. And then the tail's up, they're ready to go. And then they realized, actually, if we run it as well through Mixon, we're probably going to be more successful. That's my only thing with the Chiefs. I do get worried when teams start running it against us. But I just, to go from looking so in control in the first half, measured, to then, like you say, that decision to play it and take 7 points through Tyreek Hill, not getting it instead of kicking it. I would have kicked.
Yeah,
I didn't understand. I said it's
well,
so early in the game. So early.
Yeah, you always want points. I'm with you. Hey, let me ask you this question, because my brother is a sports psychologist, and he and I have this discussion all the time. And you, as a high-level gold medal winning athlete in a team sport, it's about momentum. Now, my brother claims that momentum is not, it's a creation of the mind. It's like pressure, it's like stress, it's something that you create in your mind, and it really does not exist in sport. But to me, that's a clinical definition. When you're actually playing the sport, you can sense a change in the energy on the pitch.
Yeah, definitely. And that can come from one tackle, one sack, one catch. And that's all about having leaders on the field. I think Patrick Mahomes, like you say, naturally, he does it all. He's a natural leader. But then I sometimes feel that as soon as he starts trying to not take the game on his shoulders, but try to make that, what I would call it, the glory pass, instead of just making them simple plays like he did in the first half, just work our way. I mean, the first drive, he scored a touchdown. And that's when I think he's at his best, because he does have the option of doing the glory pass, but he also makes a sensible decision. But when it comes to momentum, like you say, it can so easily change and it can so easily swing. And that's what's so impressive about Joe Burrow. It didn't matter at what point in the game, he just kept on doing it. And then, in my opinion, watching the game, that momentum for the Bengals started when they started hitting Jamar Chase. And then he started getting away from the Chiefs. Well, I say getting away. The Chiefs pretty much got him, but he slipped away probably out of their grasp.
Yeah.
But yeah, momentum's a funny thing, and it can so quickly change. It's just, how do you go from having that momentum to then maintain and stay on top of your game? But I love the Chiefs. I love how explosive they are, how they do take risks. I mean, that's part of the joy of being a Chiefs fan. So, I mean, I can say, oh, Patrick Mahomes, he's amazing. I mean, he tries to take the game on his shoulders, but that's why we've won so many games like we have, because he's taken the team and put them on his shoulders. But I mean, I think, is it history said that not one team has won 2 games in a row in overtime? So,
well, Sam,
yeah,
I
I'm gutted. I'm gutted, Jeff.
Well, I didn't bring all that up just to rub it in, but I want to tell you, I really, really appreciate you coming on the show, and I even appreciate it more knowing that you're not feeling very well, and you very easily could have bowed out. But
don't worry. You put that mini violin away.
Well, listen, thank you so much, Sam Quick. And, I can say that, now I know a gold medal winner. And I couldn't say that before today.
Definitely. A quick question for you, Jeff. Who's winning the Super Bowl?
You know what? I think if my logical coaching brain's on, I'm going to say the Rams should. Mm-hmm. But I would not be surprised if Cincinnati doesn't pull this off, because they don't, this is going to be a better matchup than people think it's going to be. The big key to me, Sam, right now are either of the tight ends that are hurt going to get back in the game, because whoever, like, I thought the kid last night from the Rams did a great job, but he's not Higbee, and Higbee's mm-hmm. such a big part of that offense. So if Higbee can come back and play, then I think the Rams will win it.
Can the Bengals protect Joe Burrow though? But mind you, Joe Burrow can slip away, can't we? Like we saw last night.
Yeah, so. You know what? That's an interesting one, because the Rams are a different animal when you talk about pass rush, and they play a lot of, even though they call Von Miller a outside linebacker and Floyd an outside linebacker, those guys are really defensive linemen. But so they play 5 of those guys at a time, and that really makes it tough on you protection wise, because you're not going to put a back on Von Miller or Floyd. And so your 5 linemen have to block one-on-one. All of them do. And whoever's going to get Aaron Donald's going to be in for a long afternoon. So that, I think, is a real key observation.
I think I'm going to go Rams. And you know what I like about the Rams? they've made the team to win now. None of this. Oh, we're going to set our team up for like 3,
Hey,
4 years, 5 years.
no kidding, huh? They push
Yeah.
the chips all in the middle of the table.
Yeah, I mean they've got some superstar names. What they can deliver in the when the big lights are on, we'll see. But it's going to be a fab game, I think.
I think so too. And you know what's interesting too? In LA, if they don't win, they'll forget about them in a week. You know, because you know what LA's like, right? It's like, you know, what's the next best deal? Who's the hottest thing? What's the best restaurant? What sports team's winning?
It is
And
true. When you're
that's
on
who they care about.
Instagram, all the big celebs were like the LA Dome last night.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? And
Yeah.
you know what? It's the same. I've seen the same thing happen in other sports in LA. But as soon as you start to lose, there's something else they can. You know, that's one of the challenges with sport in Los Angeles is there's so much to do. So
There's so many NFL teams to choose from these days over there.
Hey, well, listen, Sam, thank you so much. And again, we hope to get you on when you're feeling better.
Yeah,
And again,
definitely. Count me in. Count me in, pal.
tell Tom, you know what? I want to do this. Now, I'm going to throw this out to you. I want to have a show where we get couples on, and my wife and I, and you and Tom are welcome to come. I'll get a couple NFL couples and just talk about, you know, the fandom and how crazy it is. Because I think that'd be a fun discussion.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. Whether there's any NFL widows out there.
I'm sure there are. Probably some widowers too.
No, it sounds like
Sam,
a plan. Count me in. Thanks very much, Jeff.
All right. Aloha. Thank you.
See ya.